Financial freedom has nothing to do with the amount of money you make, but rather how much money is left over. And I know a lot of people that generate a lot of money, but yet they're still living paycheck to paycheck because they're buying things that they truly still can't afford. And this works on both scales. It works if you're making 4K a month and you're buying things that you can't afford, which might be like a Mercedes and I don't know, a $500,000 house. It also works if you're making $1 million a year and you're buying Lambos and all these cars that maybe you can't afford, and buying properties that are maybe 2-3 million and buying all these watches and chains. So it doesn't really matter how much money you're making. It really comes down to your life revenue requirements. And the reason I say that is because I truly want everyone to be financially free and happy. And you can't be happy if you're still stressing about money, because you know how they say like money doesn't solve all problems. It solves a lot of problems unless you know how to utilize the money, because money can also cause problems. It can cause more stress. You start making more money, you want all these cars, you want to uphold this image and this lifestyle, and that becomes very stressful, especially when there's downturns in markets. It's not going to be that easy to uphold your lifestyle. My recommendation is to always live below your means. And I held this true even when I was working at the hospital making roughly 4 or 5K a month. My rule of thumb was I only get to spend 50% of what I make. And it doesn't matter if I'm making 5K a month or 500K a month. The rule of thumb is you can't spend more than 50%. Now, obviously, if you're making 500K, you don't really need to spend 50%. Like right now, I probably spend like 10% of my revenue, but it's just because I don't care to spend it. But still, I could spend more money on cars. I could spend more money on business classes, like flight tickets. I could spend more money on clothes and watches and stuff like that. I just don't need to, because you know my game plan is to utilize that money to give me more happiness later in the future. And you know that's okay too. Like you can understand what your plan is and plan financially for your future. But you know, if you're making 5K a month or 4K a month, you're gonna say there's no way I can live off of 50%, because rent nowadays is, I don't know, 2K, and that is the problem. That is the problem why people aren't financially free, is because they're spending money that they don't have. Like, you need to put in your head that, like, listen, all I have is 50% of my income. I need to figure it out. And whether that's having a roommate, whether that's splitting the rent with your significant other, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, wife, or if it's downgrading your car or spending less on eating out and Uber Eats or whatever it is, you need to figure it out. Because you can survive off that, because my mom did. Coming to the US, we didn't have money, she didn't have an amazing job. We survived off of barely 2K, right? And like, here we are today, nothing happened. And I would say we still had a good life. And the reason that we have a hard time living below our means is because we're comparing ourselves to others. Other people are getting into debt, and you're like, all you see is the lifestyle, and you're like, I want that too. They just moved to downtown, I want to move to downtown. They just bought a Mercedes, I want a Mercedes. They just bought a Rolex, I want a Rolex. And the issue is, you're doing things literally for other people so that you can feel good about yourself. And the problem is that it won't make you that much happier. There's a funny thing about exotics. And you know, like, a lot of my friends have exotics. Like, I've had them. Like, they're fun. But they're just saying that there's only 2 days you're happy with the exotic: the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Because the day you buy it, it's very exciting. It's like, holy shit, I just achieved my dream. But the day you sell it is actually the day you relieve yourself from all the stress it brought you and all the payments that you really didn't need to dump into it. Because if you do have extra money, like, I would personally just give back to family and stuff like that. But I really want to challenge you guys to be able to spend below your means, because that's the only true way you're gonna have financial freedom and not stress about money. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're making 4K or 400K a month. Just live below your means. I've heard this from big people, billionaires, millionaires, and I've heard it from people that we would consider broke. People barely making 2-3K a month. The ones that follow that principle, they're a lot happier than the ones that I know they're making hundreds of thousands a month and they're spending it all. Because there's like an interesting concept here where, we look at people that maybe are happy according to the items that they have. And a lot of times, when you see it on social media or TV or stuff like that, you don't know the true story until you finally get to meet these people and then you realize they're truly not happy. I've met super wealthy people. I won't mention any names. I've been invited to their birthdays, to their mansions. These people are well known on social media and so forth. And when I looked at their lifestyle, I was like, bro, you've been divorced 3 times. You have this mega mansion, 10,000 square feet. You're still trying to figure out money because you exited a company and you used that money to buy all these luxury items. And now you don't have that income coming in. And now you're trying to figure it out, because even if you can buy a mansion cash, upkeeping is expensive. Taxes are expensive. Repairs are expensive. So looking at that, I'm like, this guy isn't that happy. And then I looked at, people in Bosnia, whether it's like older people like grandparents or even younger people that I would talk to, and they were literally happy making their $1,000 a month, right? They had enough to go get coffee. They had enough to hang out with their friends. And sometimes, like back in the day, I used to push my friends and say, dude, why are you so satisfied with your average income? Like, don't you want to achieve more? Don't you want to do more? And they would say, well, I don't need more. And I couldn't grasp that concept at that time, because I'm like, what do you mean you don't need more? Like, you can have a bigger house, you can have a better car, you can have more travel experiences and so forth. And they're like, I'm happy. I'm like, how could you be happy, bro? Like, with the average life? They're like, dude, like, don't worry about me. You do you, I'm gonna do me. And I used to get upset. I'm like, bro, I want you to do better. And now I realize it. Now I get it. Obviously, there's levels to it. There's like things that I would still pursue, because I feel like life is just very expensive, and you want to give yourself as much of a buffer in order to make sure you're safe if life hits you, if you lose your job, if whatever. Say your kid wants to go to a certain college and it's expensive. I like having options, but literally that's the only reason I want to generate more money, is because of these options, not because of these items, not because of a new Lambo, not because of a new house, not because of a new watch. I literally generate revenue and I still hustle every single day just because of having the freedom and options to move to Bosnia and still have my business running. Maybe later down the road, like have, I don't know, bonds and treasury yields and CDs at the moment and stocks. Pay for my whole lifestyle. When you have enough capital, you can just dump into that, and you can live off of that. I'm not gonna say you're gonna make millions off of that, but you can literally cover your life. So my recommendation is sit down, write down exactly how much you're spending, see what you can cut back, where you don't need, and make sure that everything comes out to 50% of what you actually make. The good thing is, like, when there's 2 people in a household, it's 50% of the total income. So if you both make 5K, household income is 10K, all combined, you guys can spend 5K, which is pretty reasonable. Like, you can get a nice apartment, you can pay for your cars, you can still go out, you can live off of 5K if you structure it correctly. Stop living like you're making 12K and yet you're making 10K. For all my men out there, stop letting your females buy purses on your credit cards and requiring these things that just don't make sense. Like, you can tell them no, it doesn't make financial sense, because a lot of times there's always that one person that is more financially savvy in a relationship, and that's the person that should be calling the shots when it comes to that. And then there's the other person that is maybe more emotionally savvy, which they should be calling the shots when it comes to that. There's someone that's more, I don't know, there's different roles. And a lot of times we like bend over to the significant other because they're requesting something. We're like, oh, we want to make them happy. Trust me, that purse, it's going to be cool. Just like the car when you buy it the first time. They're going to put it in the closet, and then 2 weeks later, they're going to say, oh, Rebecca has this Gucci purse. I want that Gucci purse. And then a month later, they're going to be like, oh, Barbara just got these shades from Dior. I want those. And then they just keep on buying these random things and putting in the closet, and they hardly even wear those things. So, like, it's not relevant. The extra cars, like, you only need one car anyways. Why do you need 2-3 cars? The big house, you're only going to use, like, I don't even know how much square footage, like 1,000 square feet of a house anyways. Like, all the extra space is, like, irrelevant. Spend it on experiences. Spend it on things that you can have memories with. Spend it on things that, you know, will bring long-term satisfaction. And don't tell yourself, well, the Lambo will give me satisfaction, the Gucci shades will give me satisfaction. Deep down, we all know it's not. And there's a very good line that I heard once, which is these brands market towards rich people to separate them from their money. So if we're having to be marketed to buy a product, that means we never needed that product necessarily. So the fact that these companies exist out there to sell to rich people just to sell them and take them away from their hard-earned income, it just tells you that you never needed that in the first place. Don't fall for the marketing traps. Don't fall for things that you don't need. Don't fall for friends that tell you that you need this. Don't fall for your significant other telling you, hey, buy me this because I want it, over and over again. Live your life stress-free, because at the end of the day, there's nothing better than going to bed without having stress. Crying in a Lambo, you're still crying. And that's what people get wrong. People watch these videos, they're like, oh, this person said I'd rather cry in my Lambo versus a Toyota. Why the hell are you crying in the first place? You should be happy. You should enjoy life. You shouldn't have to worry about anything. Minimize the amount of things that could stress you out, and maximize the amount of things that bring true happiness and gives you a life of freedom and no stress. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, hit the button below. If you guys didn't leave me a comment, I need more comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree with it. Let me know if you don't agree with it. Also, follow me on my social media platforms. See you guys in the next video. Peace.